Hello Tokusatsu community, welcome back to Toku Topics. It's Wednesday, and that means it's time for an episode of Kamen Reviews Zi-O. Welcome to Kamen Reviews Zi-O, the series where I cover every episode, review every episode of Kamen Rider from the Heisei period, every season, every episode. Usually it's in a long series video where I cover the whole series in a couple hours, but since Zi-O is the current series, I wanted to go ahead and cover Zi-O episode by episode. That way we have content going constantly on the channel, and we can continue to speculate and everything as Zi-O goes on, and we can watch it together. Continuing on, we have episode 8, Beauty and Beast 2012. This episode was the 8th episode of Zi-O, the 919th episode of the Heisei period, and the overall 1393rd episode of Kamen Rider in general. This episode aired on October 21st, 2018. In this episode, Gates goes after Kosuke Nito, the man with the wizard ride watch, as Sugo goes after Heisei to prove his situation is still valid. Continuing on from last episode, the monster of the week was still Kaijin Rider, another wizard. My favorite quote was, "But your future will change for the better," Heisei telling past him to change his future, and I'll get to that scene in a minute because not only was that my favorite moment as well, it was also the drawing for this episode, and so I do have a lot to say about it. The background is the Gates Wizard armor, because that did premiere in this episode, and the Legend Riders were Wizard and Beast, although Wizard only appeared in archival footage and a stunt double stand-in person, I guess, but Beast actually did appear for about 15 seconds. So let's just jump right into it. So if you watched my episode 7 review, you'll know that I thought this was a really solid start to the Wizard arc. Not amazing, but pretty solid. I still think Heisei and Faiz had a better setup than this, but I had talked about how I felt it stayed true to Wizard's story, and it felt like an actual Wizard episode. Not really true to its story, but true to its style, as what I guess, that's a little pun there on Wizard forms, because they're called styles. So, it felt like a Wizard-styled episode. But I did feel it was lacking something, and that this second part, episode 8, is what it was lacking. I think this episode was great. People might not think that, but I really did like it a lot. So let's get right into it, talk about it. So first, we have some pretty cool time travel things in this episode. So Zi-O has this ability. We have two different riders who both have time machines and can go to different time periods at the same time. They did this in episode 6 with, Heisei being taken care of in the present, and then Faiz being taken care of in the past, and they did basically the same thing, but this time it was the same another rider being defeated at the same time in both time frames. And that was pretty cool, and there was a reason why they did that, and it was all part of Sugo's ultimate plan here, which wasn't exactly clear between episodes 7 and 8. It is once you see the conclusion of it. But what I really liked about it is how episode 7 was kind of all about Gates and Sugo having two different opposite ways of solving this problem. Gates just wanted to jump in. He's like, we've done this before. We go to the past, to the year the rider was created. We defeated the another rider, and we go home, we have the ride watch. But Sugo wanted to he wanted to conclude it, obviously. But he also wanted to conclude it and sum it up and make Heisei happy in the end. And Heisei was just the victim of the week. He was the typical rider monster, or rider character turned into a monster. He was basically this episode's version of a Gate from Wizard. And I actually really liked Heisei's story here. I think it's sad, but also, not really relatable, but I sympathize with him, I guess. I get why he did what he did, and why he is doing what he's doing. And so it was really cool to see Sugo kind of, not really trick, but kind of persuade Gates to go along with his plan anyway, if Gates didn't really realize that, I guess. But first I want to go ahead and get my major criticism out of the way of this episode, and that is there is a scene where Waz, Gates, and Sugo are talking, and they're trying to figure out from Waz how ride watches work with riders' memories and everything, and they are just so close to actually explaining it, and they just kind of don't. They still just dodge this question, and that is still Zi-O's biggest problem, is that it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think it's a very fun show to watch. I know a lot of people don't like it, and that is because of its nonsensical, ignoring the canon of the story, and I get that. I am a stickler for canon in all my franchises, especially Toku, more than I ever should be, knowing the way Toei treats these franchises with their canon. But I still feel like Zi-O is respecting the canon in their own way. Like, any damage they do to the canon, they're going to fix by the end. I have almost no doubt about that. Granted, if I'm wrong, I will have a completely different view on this series when it's over. But for now, I have no worries in saying that they probably will fix everything, which I think makes this a really interesting thing. So I really do want an explanation of where the ride watches come from, how do they work, how do the riders lose their memories. And this does get pretty close in explaining it. Basically, it talks about how in that brief time frame when another rider is defeated, the riders get their memories back for like 5 seconds before the time jacklers, restore the rider again. And this was shown in this episode when Beast got his memories back and transformed into Beast, fought Gates for about 15 seconds, but only did it just to play around with him. He's like, yeah, I'm going to give you the watch anyway. Honestly, that kind of just felt like very obvious fan service of just getting to see him turn into Beast and seeing that suit again and the henshin. It was all cool. It really was. I love seeing all that. But it just didn't serve a lot of purpose. And then he just kind of jumps into a tent. We did get to see him use some mayonnaise though, so you get some bonus points on that one, that's for sure. And he kept the Beast watch for himself. He kept his own watch, which kind of begs the question why that watch even existed. I guess it's weird how the watches work. Like, we haven't seen the cross watch since episode 2. I don't know where it is. I don't see it on the little rack unless it's there and I'm completely missing it. But whatever. That's kind of, a tangent in of itself. But yeah, this episode was pretty good. I really did like what they did with wrapping up this story. And that is where I want to get into my favorite scene in this episode, and that is the ending. And the ending, when Gates and Sugo defeat another wizard at the same time, Sugo has Waz give him a Phone X, give it to Heisei, and then he talks to past self, him, from 2012. And you have him talking from 2012 and 2018. And he's just telling his past self, confess the feelings he has for that girl. The future will get better. You don't have to have the magical powers to win, basically. And he changes his own despair into hope, basically. And that was really cool. And I liked that. It was cheesy, but I liked it anyway. But it's not just the idea of what happened in that scene, it's the way that it was shot and filmed. Because you got to see both scenes take place at the same time. You had like a diagonal line splitting the screen in half. You got to see one corner said 2018 in the water, and one corner said 2012. And 2012 was like dreary. It was dark and blue with all these cold, sad, despair colors. But 2018 was in the middle of the sunset, which is also like sad because it's like the end, but it's like an orange, bright, happy color. It's like, yeah, the sun is setting on this sadness, but he'll wake up the next day feeling better in the end because he just changed the timeline, but you get it. In that, I don't know. I know it's cheesy. It's a thing that Toku's done numerous times, but I just love the way that was shot. And I could be reading way too much into that, and I probably am, but I loved it. And that is a scene that will kind of just, I'll think about it, and I'm thinking about it after watching this episode. I'll think about it again. I don't know. I really liked that scene, which is why it was my favorite scene. It's why I did it for the drawing. And that right there kind of just made me feel like, yeah, this is Zi-O, and I love it. This is Zi-O kind of really playing, I feel like, a really nice tribute to past seasons. But I think it's just a good story. I think there's definitely flaws, for sure. No season is perfect, and this is full of flaws, mainly from a logic standpoint. But from an entertainment standpoint, I find this series extremely entertaining to watch. It's not very intriguing yet. And it is a very mileage may vary because they jump all around to different rider series and stuff. Granted, I still love anniversary things, and I will eat that stuff up all day. But it's scenes like that that make me show that Zi-O can be more than that, and I love that a lot. So yeah, that's kind of what I want to talk about with that scene. And at the end, we got to see a teaser for the next arc, which was Dan Kuroto sitting in his chair with the dangerous zombie gas shot, just laughing maniacally. So I can't wait until next time, where we begin the next arc to count the medals 1, 2, 3, and get to see what Dan the Man with the plan is up to this time. The preview already looked pretty funny. I'm really happy and excited to see what's going on with that. This has been one of my favorite episodes by far. I give it an 8 out of 10, just like I gave episode 5. Even though I'm giving both episode 5 and episode 8 the same rating, I think episode 5 gets a better rating in terms of a story standpoint, while episode 8 gets an 8 out of 10 out of more of a visual and kind of just emotional and standpoint, I guess. Not really emotional, but just kind of good. And also they went back to a previous episode of Wizard this time. This time it was episode 16. It was kind of funny just to see, obviously they didn't get Haruto back, because when he loses his powers and then the Phoenix just disappears, he just kind of stands there, but you only get to see like a waist shot because it's not Haruto really. And he just kind of walks away. He's like, oh well, the monster's gone, I lost my powers. Time to go eat a donut, I guess. And yeah, it was fun. This show, I think, is very fun to watch. And I can't wait to watch the next arc. Especially since they're going to be mixing O's and Xei together. That's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this arc and this episode. And yeah, so thank you guys for watching this episode of Kamen Reviews Zi-O. Be sure to check out episode 7 if you didn't see the first part of the Wizard arc. Episode 9 and 10, the O's arc, will be up in about 2 to 3 weeks because there is a break in between the 2 episodes airing. But we do have some very exciting things coming up for Kamen Reviews Zi-O, because this series, I think, is just going to keep getting better and better. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Until next time, be sure you guys subscribe, ring the notification bell so you never miss Kamen Reviews or any other content here on Toku Topics. Be sure to like, comment, and if you liked me, my voice, want to talk to me about Kamen Rider one-on-one, want to bash me for my opinion or something, I don't know, go ahead and follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey. Be sure to check out my podcast, the Toku Teams Podcast, and RRR The Streets. And until next time, guys, Tokusatsu forever.